Hey everyone, Thorin here, out enjoying a nice day on the water. But today we're going to be talking about collaborations coming to the game. So we're going to go over everything. But without further ado, let's jump into today's topic.
So today we are going to be talking about collaborations in Helldivers 2. But before we do that, I do want to go over something about the Hellbot. We talked in yesterday's video, if you guys saw it. I've totally spaced on this, but Iron Sights actually did let us see the Hellbot animations and what they would look like in game. I'm now going to go ahead and show them on screen right now. It actually has a lot of personality and a lot of fun. So if you were wondering like how far along the devs have been working on this, well, it gives you a pretty good idea that they did want to go ahead and map out at least what it would do in game. So that's just something that, I kind of wanted to cover a little bit. That being said, like I mentioned, we are going to be talking about collaborations today, so let's start talking about that. The other day on Discord, a dev known as Jojo, who is a QA lead, was asked about a Deep Rock Galactic and also a Crisis collaboration in the near future. The first thing to go over is that Deep Rock Galactic one. A long time ago, Deep Rock Galactic said maybe they are looking for a crossover on their official Twitter account in regards to Helldivers and a Helldivers tweet. Now, Deep Rock Galactic would be awesome. There's a lot of shared similarities, especially in gameplay style. That being said, what Jojo had to say about Deep Rock Galactic said, not that I'm aware of, though I love Deep Rock Galactic, but even if there was, it would be secret. They then responded about the Crisis one, saying, don't you mean Crisis, because it was spelled wrong, but any collaboration that fits has potential, so if Crytek wants to send us an email and talk about it, they should, which is awesome. I honestly really love the Crisis games. They're a little bit older now if you haven't played them in a long time, but I think some of the armor sets would actually be really cool in Helldivers 2. That being said, the CEO himself has talked a lot about collaborations. Some potential ones he really likes: Alien Colonial Marines, Warhammer 40k, Imperial Guardsmen, ODST, which is a personal favorite of mine, Halo, which we'll come back into in this video. He said though that Destiny is a bit too sci-fi, so is StarCraft 2 and Star Wars. I'm kind of bummed about Star Wars. I love that universe a ton. I have Yoda tattooed on my arm along with Darth Vader. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. That being said, I guess I can see why it's just a little bit too sci-fi-y, but they have actually found some stuff in the files that indicates that Warhammer, like Sham said, does actually seem to be along in terms of progression and a lot of other things. So let's keep going. Because the last time we got a major expansion, we got the Killzone collab, and it seems like the collab with Warhammer definitely seems to be around the corner. And interestingly enough, the CEO went on to go ahead and explain, after one Warhammer fan said Games Workshop would be extremely unlikely to agree to a crossover, well, the CEO cleared it up saying, I can tell you Gamer Workshop would love to do a crossover, and we're huge 40k fans ourselves. He then went on to say, time and resources are finite and we've got our hands busy. It would be cool as hell, but I really don't know. That being said, something new appeared in the files, which we talked about, which is this brand new chain sword that Iron Sights let us know about. It's a melee type weapon, and yeah, I did actually go ahead and say it reminded me of Ash from Evil Dead. I get it. Everyone's like, no, it's definitely Warhammer, but it's easy to make the mistake right there because I actually just grew up watching Evil Dead. That being said, I think Evil Dead would be another cool crossover, especially with the voteless, but it does seem like Warhammer does seem to be on the table. Otherwise, why go ahead and create that? Or at least some Warhammer inspired stuff could be coming to the store in the very near future. And that makes a lot of sense because, well, Pedelstedt has actually gone out and talked about intellectual property crossovers with other games. And interestingly enough, he put out a tweet on November 2nd advertising a new game called Trench Crusade, which is a tabletop game I'll go over in just a second. And Trench Crusade was like, oh my god, I can't believe you noticed us. And then Pedelstedt said, I would love to do a Helldivers 2 Trench Crusade crossover. And then they went ahead and said, that'd be the sickest thing imaginable. And then Pedelstedt actually said, I sent the DM, let's talk, so I have more things to discuss. Definitely getting the wheels turning on a possible crossover. Now, in case you don't know, Tech Crusade is a tabletop war game set in a blasphemous alternate World War I era, which now that we have the Constitution, I actually think this would fit pretty well. But regardless, players take command of the forces of heaven and hell. Basically, it's like Doom, but tabletop with World War I aesthetics. Overall, it would be really cool. However, it got even more in depth as Pedelstedt said, to add more to this conversation, here's an extended list of IPs that I would really love to do a take on. And he gave a bunch of great ones. Aliens, Starship Troopers, which this game is clearly designed after. Terminator, which, we fight the bots, so that makes a lot of sense. Predator, Star Wars, Fifth Element, Blade Runner, Warhammer 40k, which we just recently got Space Marines 2, so that would actually be perfect. Trench Crusade is on that list again, Mutant Chronicles, and Drop Zone Commander. Sadly, I didn't see Halo. I would really love to see that, especially because they had a Halo skin. He also actually mentioned at some point about talking about massive PvE battles involving something like 20 to 30 players, all in the same big firefight. It comes up pretty often at the studio, but there are engine limitations, so we'll see what happens. All that being said, this isn't the first time we've actually heard about collaborations. As in a recent Q&A with the Arrowhead CEO, someone actually asked any chance of a collaboration with Deep Rock Galactic / Coffee Stain. It's my personal headcanon that our galactic war is funded by the Dwarfs mining efforts. And the answer was, well, we are looking to do collabs. I think it's more important that we improve the state of the game and the quality of our updates. That being said, it's clearly something on their minds and that they have been thinking about, and well, and there's a good chance there's already some that are beginning to be in the works. Now, there was a recent weapon that has sparked debate among fans. Image actually depicts a weapon bearing an uncanny resemblance to the BR-55 battle rifle from the iconic Halo franchise. If you've ever played Halo, you would recognize this almost instantly, as I did. Also, though, it's important to know that this weapon also bears an uncanny resemblance to weapons found in Starship Troopers, so it really could be Halo or Starship Troopers, though most of the community tends to lead towards Starship Troopers. This has led to some question to the originality of the weapon's design, however. Interestingly, the developers have responded by urging fans for compassion and a move away from comparisons. This cryptic response actually only fuels speculation about the possibility of a collaboration between Helldivers 2 and Halo, a prospect that would undoubtedly surprise fans of both franchises, but we'll actually talk about this again in a minute because they've already kind of teased it a little bit. Now, while the Halo collaboration remains unconfirmed, another potential crossover has emerged, albeit through an unusual channel. A recent survey conducted by Dead by Daylight, the asymmetrical horror game, you might have seen it, it's a pretty fun, popular game on Twitch on occasion, included Helldivers 2 among its options as a potential collaboration in the future, indicating that there has been some talk before or that they have at least reached out to Arrowhead Studio. This has sent shivers down the spines of some fans as the thematic disparity between the two games is pretty huge. They're not at all similar in any regard, other than the fact that occasionally, I guess, you play co-op with your friends, but other than that, the comparisons really end there. Dead by Daylight is definitely a suspenseful horror game mixed with, trying to survive the night, which I guess, if you count the Terminids and Automatons, I guess I could kind of see something there. Anyways, the survey's broader selection of games suggests that Dead by Daylight might simply be casting a wide net for data collection, but we won't know 100%. Now, regardless of the controversy of the improbable crossover, Helldivers 2, like I said earlier, has actually already established a connection to another sci-fi universe outside of just actually the Killzone Warbond we got back in December, though through Twitch drops. You might have noticed that during your Twitch drop event, viewers who watched Helldivers 2 gameplay for a set amount of time were rewarded with the TR-117 Alpha Commander armor set modeled after your iconic Master Chief armor from Halo. Of course, it's not going to be a one-for-one representation, but it is very similar to it, and of course, the name 117, which is Master Chief's name. This instance of borrowing a recognizable design element demonstrates the potential for Helldivers to engage in playful homages and collaborations with other sci-fi franchises, and personally, I love collaborations. I think having two of my favorite sci-fi universes connected through either armor sets or different weaponry is really, really cool and always fun. And the recent developments surrounding Helldivers 2 paint a picture of a game that is not afraid to push boundaries. They've always been willing to do what they feel is best in terms of the game and its future.
Let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on collaborations and which one would you like to see come next to the game? And also, don't forget to check out the video in the top left corner where I cover news on the daily. And until next time, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading managed democracy.